Hi everyone! I hit the button and I forgot to hit the microphone. How are you all doing today? It is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to see you all. I am just looking at something here. We have a double audio output, which might cause some echoing. Give me 1 second. I don't know how that... There we go. That should fix that. Alright, so, yeah, the, the dragon is going right now because, you know, heaters downstairs. I'm in the basement, so the underlying roaring sound is the furnace going. But hello, 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 my darling muselings. Wednesday was so much fun talking about the Monster High School. That still has me cracking up. So I want to say hi to Mailman. Hello to Defoe's Devious Dungeons. Viper, I saw you in there. Hello, Vincent. Very good to see you. Hello, Annalie. Nice to see you too. Today I'm really excited. I am going to go in... Oh, thank God it stopped. Today I'm going to go into... Hello, Tautopotamus. Hello, Sam. I'm going to basically do a recreation of the workshop that I did at PAX Unplugged. Now, for that workshop, I introduced the concept of bringing colors into your dungeon tile work. So the dungeon tiles themselves, it's not exactly reinventing the wheel. This diamond pattern I already have up as a video, however, it was done on a sheet of foam core, so you could put it into more static dioramas. In this case, I've shifted it over to putting it to use on dungeon tiles themselves. Then the thing I'm going to do is then on the reverse side, flip it over, I'm going to add a classic 3x3 grid, but for that, what I'm going to do is my rainbow sandstone finish, which you have seen if you've watched the Dice Tower video. I've used that in that video in terms of just bringing in some great colors undertone-wise to give it a different look all said and done. Now I did... Oh, I put it away. Hold on. Let me go grab the rainbow sandstone. Got ahead of myself. Trying to get things organized and then forgetting, oh yeah, I still needed that tile. So this is the rainbow sandstone, which you can see at different angles. You pick up different colors. There are some blues, there are some greens, there are oranges and reds that come out. It's basically one of those things where the title of the workshop was Beyond the Gray. So it's ending up with tiles that don't translate full-on grays. It gives you some colors as you go along. And as I said before, these are also something where it's going to be intended double-sided. And that is also why I want to first discuss this whole thing with the magnets, because some people are starting to use magnets, which is great. I like the concept of them, and I'm going to sit here and play with this. I like the concept of them because with children and cats, hello Mia, hello Akile, I think I got you already, Annalie, right? Terrain likes to move around a lot, especially the tiles, and more often than not, you know, the cat will come on the table, they'll nudge it, and all of a sudden everything gets skewed a little bit. So I came up with this concept to help make it a lot easier for these to attach to each other. And the reason why I felt like it was worth doing it with this concept is because not only am I getting the one side of the tile with the diamond pattern, I'll be getting the other side of the tile with the with the rainbow sandstone look. But then I'm also getting two tiles for the space of one. So for me, because I can do a double-sided factor, it makes it a lot more cost-effective to use the magnets in this attaching process. Also, the way I have the magnets set up, it cuts back on how many magnets you need to use, and it also cuts down on the magnetic field, because the thing to keep in mind with is, I always screw this word up, and it's going to happen, neodymium, did I say that right? With these particular magnets is if you get too many going in the same area, you actually start to create sort of a magnetic field. And then funky things start to happen. Hello, Ravenwolf games. So then you'll have things like sometimes the pieces will bow up on the ends because the magnets are pulling towards each other. I even had it where, you know, if you're using too much, as I was experimenting with things, you can get a piece flip over and try to reach the other side. So I have worked out this little formula that makes it a lot easier to still get your magnetic hold. I mean, that takes a lot to make them shake apart. So it's still a strong hold, but it's not so strong that it's going to start creating like this weird... Well, I guess it could be cool to use to your advantage, but it's not going to create this magnetic issue where it's too many magnets at once. Now, I did in my description provide the link to purchase the particular magnets that I've got. These are 5mm round little magnets. I'm going to get them out right now. I really sealed this bag before I left. So let me show you the magnets themselves. Ooh, we have bonus pieces attached. Hold on. I literally like cleaned my art desk before I left for PAX and just threw everything into this. Whoops. Here we go. So these are the magnets, and you usually get them in stacks like this. And the other thing is, when you go to use magnets, if you try and use magnets only, you always have to be aware of your poles. So if you go and you put in a magnet with your north pole into the tile, you always have to make sure that the south pole for the next tile is out, and that gets to be a headache. So if you have it where they're opposite, I am actually trying to get these to click together. You're going to have issues of them actually repelling apart. So you may have put your tiles together as you think correctly, but then you go to put them together and they don't want to play. So I wanted to be sure it was sort of a foolproof method that you can still get the magnet factor going, but you're not going to sit there going like, oh, did I put in the right side? Oh, is this going to match up right? Is this going to be too much? And Jesus Christ, how much money did I just drop on this? So the way it works is you have your tile, upper left-hand corner, upper right-hand. In your upper right-hand on the side, and by the way, this is the insulation foam that Lowe's has. So this is the 3/4, I believe this is 3/4 inches. You want to see some fun? This is the 3/4, right? Yes, this is the 3/4 inch thickness, which I actually like better, all said and done. So using this particular one, and everything's been cut 3x3 squares for reasons, especially with this design. I'll discuss that as I get into making it. So what you would have to do is go up to your upper left, upper right, measure in a 3/4 inch, make a mark, and then taking, where did it go? And basically you take a ballpoint pen and you push in where that 3/4 inch mark is and make an opening for your magnet. And I'll do this for you so you can see. I just want to explain it first because sometimes it's such small work, it's hard to show on camera. Then what you do is on the other side is you measure in again 3/4 inch and you make a little tuck with the tip of your pen, but then you go to these wire brads, okay? And this is the trick of where you get to reduce your magnets. You basically just take the wire brad, which is essentially a finishing nail, and you push it into that mark that you just made, and now you have a means to attach without overloading magnet-wise. And you just keep doing this to all your tiles. You can see I have these two edges already set and done. I need to go around and finish doing the edges all on these. But then when it comes time to meet them together, they will connect. The bond is strong enough to hold, but it's not overpowering. And then not theoretically, but then once I actually get pieces in on all the sides here, you'll be able to just sort of shift and put these together as you need to, and they'll just stick and click. So let me show you on these guys how I got these all put together. So always have a good metal. Oh God, you'll appreciate this. Always make sure you have a good metal ruler. Because what happened for me is, this is a lot easier when I can lie this down. What happened for me is got to PAX Unplugged for the workshop, and I was assured that they'd have the supplies I needed. I sent them to you. Yes, we're running early today, Mac Attack, because the kiddos have a half day and they're going to be home earlier, and they need lunch. So I needed to bump up my time so I can accommodate their time. So I get there, and I was assured they'd have the supplies, but find out that there were no pens, no black ballpoint pens, and there were no rulers for this, which meant things got interesting right quick. You want to aim for the midsection of the tile as well. The good thing is that I'm going to do one more coat of the base cover once everything is all painted up, because I'm going to have to paint this side once I get the grid in, etc. So that is, the upper left is made, the upper right is made. Now I'm going to take my ballpoint pen and just basically shove it into the tile itself. Now I have a nice opening. I also recommend, if you get your magnets stacked up on the row, it makes it a little bit more manipulative friendly. If you try and do one magnet at a time. Actually, I wonder if I took, hold on, I'm going to correct myself. Let me take one of these lovely wire brads, because what I can do is, oh yes, I can do that. So instead, make it easier, just put one at the end of a wire brad, and then take another wire brad. I'm going to shove that into the upper right. Because this goes in so deeply, I'm not worrying about making sure there's glue or anything like that for this part. because that sucker's in. It's flush against the side. You don't see it sticking out. Unless you go in with a pair of tweezers, that nail is staying put. Then I'm going to take some hot glue, and this is where you need to work quickly. So I'm going to take some hot glue. I'm going to put just a little bit into that well I just made with a pen. And then it's going to quickly take the magnet on the wire brad and push down so that it rests in the tile flush. You don't see it peeking out the top. And now I have the other side prepped and ready to go. Annalie, you always want to put it where it's magnet upper left, wire brad upper right. Keep to that formula. If you shift it, you are then going to have issues with getting things to meet up as you need to. So that takes care of this side. I'm just going to keep going around and getting both of these tiles set up. So that is really how easy it is for getting these pulled together. And then, what did I do with the... One moment, please. I just had the... There they are. They rolled off the mat. Oh, I know why. Oh, I had something metallic over this way. They went rolling towards that. Let's see here. Yeah, hello, Paolo. Yeah, as long as you keep to that formula, it takes the guesswork out. And these are the exact ones I got. I want to say this was... Who is this? Home Depot. I want to say I got these at Home Depot. I will also recommend you bring your magnets with you, because I did find some nails are not as magnetic as others. And you want the ones that are the most magnetic. That will be to your benefit. If you pick ones that kind of work, not so much. So same thing. I'll just mark off. This is tricky to make it so you can see. Tricky for me, not tricky to do. Bum-ba-dum. Bum-ba-dum. Again, I'm in my upper left, so magnet, wire brad, or nail, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to make this a little bit more open. It really does help to have the ballpoint pen, because these are about comparable to each other. Pull that down a little bit. So making that pilot hole does help. Oh, this has a flaw in it. It's still fine. It'll still work. Hello, McSonovitsky. I'm getting your name, I think. You haven't corrected me yet, so I'm hoping that's the right way to be saying your name. But the wire nail, or the wire brad nail, really is what helps drop the issues of cost as well as the issues of over-magnetized pieces. You can go a little bit smaller with the rounds if you want to. There were, I want to say, like 3 and 2 for round millimeters for these guys. I went with 3 just to kind of give me a little bit of CYA, cover your ass, to make sure that it wasn't all super risky, like you had to be perfectly precise. Because, you know, sometimes things happen, things shift around, so on and so forth. Forgive the shaking. I totally forgot to have something to eat. No. So I am slightly... Girl needs to make sure she eats her Sammy once she's done. Let's put it that way. I do have a sandwich for lunch. I do have that. And once you've done this a couple times, it gets a lot easier to sort of eyeball where you want to go. Hello, Kentucky Fried Gamers. Base Hunter, did I say hello to you? Mac Attack? I do. It's a 5mm by 3, I believe, for the ones that I have. I do have a link, Mac Attack, in my description if you want to purchase these exact ones. Let me put in that. Let me get another magnet. Now, I do have to order more of these magnets. These are actually ones I used in most of my cobalt press terrain. So, I need to get more of them so I can complete this tile set. But I'm going to use up what I got today. And we'll go from there. Again, always make sure this magnet is, if not flush, slightly recessed. Because otherwise, if it sticks out a little bit, you're going to have issues of the tiles being more pulled apart. All right, so I'll show you. This is all the way around. Boom, boom, boom. Like I said, this is going to get one more coat after I do the rainbow tile on that side. So now I have, it sticks, it sticks, it sticks, it sticks. Okay. This is also going to bring me to, as I hit them apart, this is going to bring me to the whole pattern here. With this diamond tile pattern, your count measurements are, you are close enough with the pronunciation. Thank you. I'm trying. It's funky with screen names. You want to make sure with this diamond tile pattern, you need it to be in multiples of 3. So you need to start at least 3 inches by 3 inches, then bump it up to 6 by 6, 9 by 9, 12 by 12, 15 by 15. Why? So that you can keep your pattern going as you need it to go. If you don't, you're going to end up with skewed patterns, and then you won't have the ease of things meeting, ba-bump, that type of thing. So that is very important to keep in mind with this. I could make a jig. I just haven't had the time, Raven Wolfgang, to make a jig. But yeah, that would also help if you get some sort of like quick little thing to place on top. So again, for this, always make sure you keep your multiples of 3 going. Otherwise, you're going to end up with half tiles. Things get skewed, how your painting is going to be affected. And that's another reason why I feel comfortable recommending these tiles for magnetization, because if you make them bigger, that's that many less magnets you need to use. I like the 3x3 simply because I feel it's a good size to make it stackable, not take up too much space, but still get a decent span of floor space. So that's my whole thing on these particular tiles for you to keep in mind. Keep your multiple of 3s going. Otherwise, you won't have this great ability to have the patterns meet up. So let's get into how you create this look. I think by now you got a good sense of how I went around and put these in to these. So I'm going to set these to a side on my little end table. But yeah, the whole not having magnets was an interesting issue because, or not magnets, rulers. The whole not having rulers was an interesting issue because this very much depends on having a good ruler. So for this project, nice metal ruler. If you can find the kind that has corkboard underneath it, even better. I love those. I don't know where mine went that had the corkboard underneath. I'm sad. I'm hoping to find it someday or find another one that was comparable to it because that one was like a perfect inch in width too, which is why I was quite partial to it. You okay there, Tautopotamus? I what? So, to get things going, what you want to do is take your ruler and you are going to go on the diagonal here. And actually, I don't want my pen, I want my knife. And you're going to go from one corner across the other, and you're going to do a light scoring with, I'm going to use my little finger knife here today. This is a Fiskars tool. I love it, I love it, I love it. Works really well. So what you're not looking to do is you're not looking for a full slice into the foam. You want to use this knife to score very carefully a line. And just make sure you have your corners lined up. And then just very lightly, barely breaking into the surface, get that first line scored into your tile. Which, there we go, you can see right there. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing across the other side. You're basically making this X from corner to corner. Again, lightly score, and you'll see why as we get closer. Now I have this X, which you can see right there. Okay, so you want that X going on. Now we're going to go back to our ruler, and actually, let me do it this way. So I'm going to hit my midpoint mark, which is 1.5 inches, okay? And I'm going to very carefully, with my ballpoint pen, make a slight notch at the very edge, which you can see right there where my fingernail is pointing. You're going to do this on all sides. So mark in 1.5 inches. We didn't have rulers to do this. What we did have at PAX Unplugged were business cards. I kid you not. Dan, the assistant for the workshops, he was a doll. He was a lifesaver that night. He sent out one of the helpers to go find ballpoint pens. At that point, we didn't even care about color. We ended up with blue. That's a whole separate issue. But he managed to get the ballpoint pens pulled together by sending out a helper. And then he sat there, bless his heart, with business cards because we found out that business cards are 2 inches wide. So he was folding over a business card, and then he created out of all the other business cards rulers. So we at least had something to work with rather than absolutely nothing at all, because then it was just going to turn into an eyeball it class, which didn't exactly want to have to play with. So yeah, lesson learned. I know if tools are going to be critical to a workshop, I'll definitely be sure to, if not confirm, then purchase some backup so I have it ready to go should anything happen. So now I have 1.5 inches marked on all sides. See? Ta-da! Hello, Puddin' Tame. So now what I'm going to do is, again, with my ruler, I'm going to take it to meet the first 2 marks on either side. And now I'm flipping back to my Fiskars, and I'm going to lightly score a line between those 2 marks. All right, so you can see right there, I have a score mark going. I'm going to do the same thing. Meet, and very carefully, as she says as it hops on her, make that score mark. There we go. So you get another line. That's actually why I do like having the cork underneath to keep it from sliding like what just happened there. But again, I don't know where that ruler went. Long time ago. The other cheat you can do is, if your ruler is a perfect inch like this one actually is, you can rest this on your previous X line to help you out. So that's another option for you if you want to sort of have a quick cheat. And then I'm going to do another light score, this time being careful to make sure. Ta-dum. And finally, the last 2 to meet up. It's a meetup time. And I'm not pushing in too deeply. I am just letting this create that first mark. And now you end up with those diamond tile pattern started. Okay, you can see right there. So it's basically an X with an offset square put into the X area. See that? Now let's go back to the ballpoint pen. Cap your knife if you're using this guide. You can also use, a standard utility knife. You can use a mini utility knife if you so choose. The important thing with these guys, if you're going to use them, just have a little nub out. Okay? I find if you go to use these and you're used to using them for deep cuts, it's sometimes easier to forget not to cut all the way through. But you can use them, just so you know. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my black ballpoint pen. Why am I saying black? Because I have found more often than not, pardon me, I've got like a dry throat today, the blue ink will bleed into the paints and be far more noticeable, and you get this blue halo cast along all of your lines where you've used a ballpoint pen. With the black, I do not notice that happening, if at all. So that's why I stress a black ballpoint pen. Even better is if you can find a ballpoint pen that has dried up. Then you're really okay. But for now, what I'm going to do is, going in with my black ballpoint pen, I'm actually going to go along those score mark nows. Nows, I'm going to go across those score marks, and I'm going to deepen those lines. And I find 2 to 3 passes for this. Get it deep enough so you get the tile grout, is essentially what you're doing. You're creating the effect of grout. And what I also don't do is I don't do large sweeps of lines. I try and do it in smaller batches. So like I'm going to do from this point to the corner point. 1, 2. And I also like how with the ballpoint pen, it helps to start rounding the corners, the edges here. So again, it looks more like tile. So that's why I'm doing this with the ballpoint pen. That's why I'm not taking my utility knife and making really deep marks. I'm letting the pen do more of the work. So I just go through and do this. 1, 2. And if you're going to go and make these tiles, I absolutely 100% recommend you do it in an assembly line like form. Reason being, you then will get consistent results for each phase. So I would recommend sitting there and creating your grids one evening, get that all established. Take an evening and get all your magnets put in. If you're going to magnetize, you don't have to. And next would be, take an evening and get all of your base layers on, which hopefully we can get to that one. Just things like that. Reason why I'm saying if you do an assembly line, at least that way you're going to get consistent results because you will be in the same mindset. Hello, Thor Draco. How are you? Oh, I'm going to be my Pyro Kitty next Friday. Yay! I love Bramble of Thorns. For those of you not in the know, I'm over on Nerdarchy once a month doing the RPG Crate campaign that we're doing. It's in its 4th season. We just started season 4. We are 2 episodes in now. And we're meeting for episode 3 next Friday, where I get to play Bramble of Thorns, who is a Tabaxi druid, Circle of Wildfire. Oh my god, it's one of those Unearthed Arcana druids, and I am loving this. It is fantastic. You actually get this wildfire spirit. And I named mine Snarf from Thundercats. That was purely intentional. So it's sort of like... It reminds me of when I had a druid with a companion in 3.5. So it was like having my panther back, but this time it's a fire tiger. I'm really in love with it. Little One's story says, add some steampunk accents. Well, you know what she's doing? She's adding Zobekian accents. Because in Zobek, you could definitely add gears and so on and so forth. It's one of those things where I loved doing that with the Zobek terrain. Adding in that slight steampunk flair where the gears and the chains and the metallic touches had function to, well, theoretical function. I wasn't going to actually make the gate lift up and down because, it's a traveling... Let me fix the focus here. So it's more of a traveling... Where's my camera too? When it's a traveling piece of terrain, there's where my mind is going. I didn't want to give it too many moving parts. Oh, the autofocus... It jumped in for some reason. So that way, when they have to take this to different conventions, it's a lot less issues of, oh, well, this working part stopped working. Hold on. Bear with me. I want you to see the details a little bit better here. But it's one of those... Yoink. I think that's about as good as we're going to get just because of this light on the glare. Unless, let me pull this down just a wee bit. Okay, that's going to be about as good as it can get. So let's save that. But yeah, so if you want to do the whole... Hey, Bill, what you doing? If you want to do the whole... Oh God, Bill. Trigger warning. Steampunk look. Just say it's for Zobek, because that absolutely ties into the aesthetic of that city with the gear forge and everything like that. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to finish this up with getting this tile with the pen. And I think I'm doing like 3 is what I've landed on. Yeah, three sweeps. But you can see now the ballpoint pen has helped create this curved edge here. Like that. You have the whole look of the grout. A lot of it is this kickback of glare from my light so I can actually see what I'm doing. Hello, Brandon Dudley, and hello, Kalak. From France, even better. Thank you, I'm glad you like the videos. So that gets us started for this side. Flip over. Other side, this is where we're going to do the classic grid. And we're going to take a lot of the fun guesswork out. Go back to your ruler. And this is going to be on every single edge. And like Ravenwolf Gang said before, you could, if you wanted to, just create a quick guide for this. And all I'm doing is I'm marking 1 inch in, get it in frame V, I'm marking 1 inch in, 2 inch in on each edge. Okay? Quick and easy. 1 inch, 2 inch, and again the dragon is breathing, so if you're hearing that rumbling in the background, that furnace is running. A Stargirls gnome basketball team, funny and adorable. Oh, that's fun, Dungeon Matron. Did you hear that Jake and I have been talking about our whole Monster High School? Maybe a game thing might come of it. We shall see. But it's something we're not going to be able to obviously tackle until the new year. But yeah, he and I, we have concepts. We have some ideas. I am making 2-sided tiles that are, for those of you joining us, that are magnetic and have lots of color. It's based off of the workshops I did at PAX. That's the other thing. I will be doing PAX Unplugged 2020. I have plans. We've made plans to do more workshops for that year. And they have released the dates for that, and I want to say it was in the 21st? I know it's the same day as the marathon. Same thing as before. I'm not going to use my ballpoint pen. I'm going to jump in first with my Fisker knife and score the lines in. So your Muse will be back again. PAX is becoming one of my regular conventions. My next one, West Coast people, ears up, I will be at ECCC. I always feel like I'm leaving out a C when I say that. Yes, we have to use the mind flayers as a school, geniuses. The chess club, right? The chess club is full of mind flayers. Absolutely. So I'm going to be at ECCC. PAX East is now on the table as a question mark. It's not a confirmed convention. We shall see. I've been approached about a couple panels, both sounding very interesting, so both got an enthusiastic yes on my end. Again, just a light score here. I am not looking to cut in deeply. I'm going to let my pen do the work on that. And then, what else? Fall is pretty much booked for me because I have D&D in a Castle. That is in September. I will be there for all, I was going to say 5 sessions, all 3 sessions. So I'll be there for that. Then there's a Nerdarchy convention. That is Halloween weekend. And then there's PAX Unplugged. And there's a couple other I am looking at, and we shall see. Okay, so at this point, before I even go in and I start edging out the grid, I am going to do my cracked tiles. And for those of you who are in the Tabletop Crafters Guild, you have probably heard this bugaboo that has come up over the years. With your cracks, make sure they go from one side of the tile to the other. It's just how tiles crack in actual life. I could go upstairs to my bathroom and take a picture and you could see. But yeah, just have it so that you have a line running from one edge to the other is really what it comes into. And then you can have fun with like another little shard playing off to the side is what I'll do. So that's how I, go through and add my cracks. And just, goof around with it. Have fun. You don't have to put it in every single tile either. And since I have pen in hand, I'm now going to do my grids. And this one, I'm going to do 3 good sweeps to really get that grout line established. Or spacing if you want to use that. 2020 is already so full for me, and there are other conventions in the air. Gen Con's going to be one I definitely want to get to. Gamehole is one that's going to be very tricky because that means all of March I am traveling. I don't think I can do that. I don't want to do that. My X-Acto knife is called a Fisker's finger knife. Not kidding. That is on my website in the Amazon store tab. If you go to www.thecraftingmuse.com, click on the Amazon shop, and you can be taken right to the link to purchase this at no extra cost to you. You'll be helping me out. Thank you. Ding! And I use it a lot. If I do the scoring first, Bill, I don't notice the pulling, but that's a good point. If you want to get more of a rugged look to your tiles, use your ballpoint pen instead of the knife scoring like I'm doing right now. And yeah, there definitely is, and it changes depending on the piece of foam that you get. I do find that there's this sort of grain to it as well. We had a piece a couple purchases ago. It was a bugger to work with because of how it would pull and just muck itself up. So that is a little heads up. And then for those of you who can't find this type of foam, you can use foam core. However, the foam core is going to need to be attached to some strong base, and you could still do it double-sided by putting foam core on either side of your strong base, be it double corrugated cardboard, chipboard, Wylock, hello, and then the only issue is the magnetization becomes a little bit more wonky because you don't have the ease of just inserting the wire brads and the magnets on the side like I showed you in the beginning of the stream. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing these tiles. That is going to become a space factor, really. And you always need to make sure your foam core is on something stable because when you get foam core wet, when you paint it, it likes to curl up on you. All right, so that takes care. So we have classic grid, diamond tile. Grid, diamond tile. Ta-da! This is why I said I was willing to do it with magnets, because for me, I'm getting 2 for the price of 1. Okay, so I'm going to make a couple more of these, because why not? It's what I want to do. I'm going to go back to doing diamond, and then I'll do grids, since we have some new people joining us. And again, the diamond tile is super easy. Corner to corner, very lightly score. You know what? Frostbite and Sunrise from TeknoAxe, you're getting creepy. Let's dial you back a little bit. There we go. Let's see. What else is going on here? I'm trying to think. Oh, but workshop. We were talking about the workshops. So yes, I'll be doing the workshops in 2020. I kind of already have a concept in mind. Obviously, I have time to think about it. But it's one of those things, you know what? Speaking of assembly line, it's one of those things where I'll play around a little bit more in the summertime as things get closer as to what I want to do. If there's a workshop concept you would like to see me do at PAX Unplugged and you plan on attending, by all means, I'm open to suggestions. But the very cool thing about my workshops is they were all sold out. But this year they were smart. What they did, get this back in frame. What they did is they had a viewing gallery, which was basically rows of seats behind the workshop area. So people who didn't get there in time to get a spot in the workshop itself, they could actually watch what I was doing. I had a screen and everything behind me. There was like this massively big screen. I had to keep doing this to see because there wasn't a screen in front of me to watch what I was doing like I have set up right now. They do have Christmas music. That is a good point. I'll do that for next week. Let's do Christmas music next week. Okay? How about we do that, mailman? But you're right. This is kind of creeper mode too. What the heck happened here? It's supposed to be soundscapes. We've steered into creepyscapes. All right, we'll see what this one does. And that made it with the big screen behind me. Let's get back on track here, V. It made it so that people could sit and watch what I was doing and get an idea of how you could do this yourself. I did make a point of having handouts as well, so people could take that and recreate it. It's also why I am doing the stream today, so that people can come back here and watch. Ooh, that was all me. Watch and see how these were created, essentially. And honestly, what I'm doing right now is I'm just using up the tiles that were left over as spares, just in case. And then probably what I'll do while we're home for the Christmas holidays, Hanukkah holidays, or actually whatever you celebrate, that winter break you get, that lovely winter break you get at the end of December. I'll just sit and create a few more of these tiles. I want to try and get a nice 24 by 24 layout, so it's a good size room. Because a lot of this I envision is getting used for things like Call of Cthulhu. You have more modern themed games coming out, and you also have other games that are hinting more towards like desert type terrain, which is why I want to do something like that. And then what's here? Wylock and Video Beholder Collaboration Workshop. I mean, Bill, you could run that at PAX if you wanted. Just saying. And I did come home with one of his beholders that I am going to be painting up in the new year. He's actually sitting right up there in a protected box right now. That could be fun. And PAX is nice and low-key. It's definitely bigger than Mace, Bill, but it's nice and low-key. It is pretty close to Mace, though, I will say that. And I know you have busy work schedule. Okay, so I have all of my X's who don't live in Texas. And I'm going to do my half-inch in mark. I don't know, I just went Looney Tunes. Actually, right, I could do... No, I take it back. I'm going to use my ruler and just cheat it for sake of speed, because I know my ruler is 1 inch by 1 inch. So I'm just running this so it runs on the edge of that first score line. I'm just going to do that. That's why I really encourage you to see if you can find a ruler that is 1 inch in width. For me, it just takes out all of that silly guesswork of mark, mark, mark. But if you don't have a ruler that does that, it's that mark it in 1.5 inches on your sides. And then it makes it a lot easier to line it all up. Beholder class. Would be neat. Yeah, it's tricky. Pardon my cough. Are you on the square? Are you on the level? But they are continuously, see, look at that. Nice and easy. They are continuously adding and improving what they're doing with the workshops at PAX Unplugged. PAX Unplugged itself truly is my favorite convention. That is going to be one of the ones I will happily attend, participate, do panels and workshops for. I was running around like a maniac. I was running around like a maniac last weekend, but it was completely worth it. I met so many lovely people. I have some fantastic memories just from doing the workshops alone. Being on a panel was fantastic. That is, I'm not sure if it's up yet for viewing, but it will be. Geeks Like Us, I believe, have it on their YouTube channel, I want to say. I will have to I'll follow through and find out. But that had some lovely people. We had Lauren Urban, James Introcaso, Adam D, myself, and Goblin Kate. We were the panelists, and we were moderated by Megan Connell, and it was a wonderful, truly enjoyable panel. And some really great tips in terms of how to use your time wisely as a DM, where to put the time, what to focus on, and I got some fun tips just from listening to my fellow DMs. It was great. It really was. And we all got along beautifully, which is very helpful when you do a panel. So, yeah. So I had that, and then I had the meet and greet at Kobold Press for the Last Air stuff. So we were basically at the Kobold Press booth for about an hour, and anyone who stopped by could have gotten, books signed, things like that, and pictures and everything. And then what else did I have going on? I got to check out my terrain in use on the table. And this was honestly the very best part, because I had my friends come down with me, and it was people from Kobold Press Twitch channel, some of the players, and the other DM, Dan Dillon. So we all traipsed downstairs to go and check things out. And the DM was running the game, and you saw this family with kids, and the black market terrain was laid out. They had the fire markers going on a couple of the tents, and the kids were, I'm going to get teary-eyed. The kids were leaning over the table. They looked like, no pun intended, kids like, oh, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Diff. The kids were leaning over, eyes shining, eager as can be. And I could tell it was something where this turned into an experience and a memory for them. They got to play a game with terrain. They completed it. They did, they did good in terms of the module. And it was just one of those moments where everything just sort of fell into focus. And I was like, this is why I worked so hard on this terrain. This is why I drove myself nuts for 3.5 months, making sure everything was as detailed and pulled together as possible, because it wasn't just ending with the, haha, I completed the terrain. It's the, now they have tools to put to use to pull people to their tables, to help create memories, to really get people into playing. And that really just, it pulled it all together for me as a DM, as a player, as a creator of terrain, as a parent. It really was a special moment. And I was super ridiculously lucky to share it with really good friends. That was the other wonderful, wonderful thing. So, you better believe I will continue to work with Kobold should they want more terrain, and I will absolutely keep doing my workshops. I mean, it's the same thing like doing the workshop for the kiddos. Having the kids come up at the very end, and I talked about this on Wednesday. Having the kids come up at the very end, wanting to share their wormlings with me, and then sharing their stories of their PCs and everything like that. That was just, that was super duper special. Oh, before I forget, you want to make sure you add texture to these too. So I did the whole cracked tiles and whatnot. I have this ball of foil always by my side. You're probably going to get some shaking, forewarning. And what I'll do is I'll just take this ball of foil and bang it against the top, as you can well hear. And you start to get this fantastic texture of the tile. And I'm going to be more gently doing this on the marble tile. I don't want it as intense as I would for the sandstone, but a little thing here, what I'm going to do for the marble tile is I'm basing this off of the tile that I saw in the chapel in the school in which I used to go to school. There was always furniture getting moved around, so you would get like these furniture scuff marks. So what I'll do is I'll take my ball of foil and just make quick little sweeping motions here and there so it looks like dragged furniture. So that's what I do for texturizing these guys. Yeah, and that's just it, Mailman. That's why I wanted to bring in different colors, because it's the coloring that adds the switcheroo and the interest to things. And again, I can actually just, for the sake of speed, knowing that, and this is only if your ruler is an inch. If you know your ruler is an inch, you can have the ease of just going up edge to edge. Lightly score. Lightly score. Rotate. But if you don't, that's where you go in and you mark an inch in and then 2 inches in. Any place where you can save time and sanity, go for it. See, there's my grid. So yeah, that is... yeah, you can use the ball of foil like that too. Just, and you get sweeping motions. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Jesse. Really, it's one of those things where I did not expect that moment. I truly did not expect to have that moment, to experience something so special. But, God, seeing those kiddos, seeing the parents smiling over the kiddos getting excited about stuff. Yeah, that was exactly where everything needed to be, for sure, without question. So I'm a very happy camper, very pleased with how that project all came about and pulled together, without question. Okay, another grid. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I'm gonna go with measurement for this one. This one got slightly skewed. Like I said, these are the crank them out, get them going tiles. So some of them got ever so slightly wonky. These were made cut-wise using the Proxen, for those wondering. Yeah, I'm not gonna use the edges on this one because it's gonna go a little iffy. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my knife and I'm making little notches. Oh my god, the pocket edition books look amazing. I took a look at them. Oh. There's a reason why I'm getting excited. The pocket edition sizes of the Tome Beast Creature Codex is coming out in the new year at some point. I forget the date. Shoot, and of course they told me when. But they also have special edition hardcovers for the Midgard World Book and the Margrave, Tales of the Old Margrave. That's the setting in which I run my campaign. Ooh, she's about to stab herself with a knife. It is ridiculously gorgeous. The cover art is beautiful. The foil detail, it's just... If you're looking to add to your collection and you have that little bit extra, I would highly recommend getting the special cover art ones if you can track them down. They're beautiful. They are truly beautiful, beautiful books. It's the same content inside.
It's just really pretty on the outside.
It really is. Oh, I see you guys are talking about that. A lot of... What's a good show for medieval buildings? There was that one on Netflix whose name is now escaping me. What was it called? If I remember, I will tweet it. I have had the advantage of traveling and seeing those buildings, so a lot of times... Oh, that's what you can do. If you're looking for good references for photos and stuff, you can just go onto Google and look. That's another one I'm going to measure in. You can go into Google and just do an image search and check out, you could even type in medieval buildings and see what you come up with image-wise. Hello, Shannon. How are you? Tents are fun. Tents are fun to make. I agree. I have a little piece of foam stuck on my mouth. So yeah, for those of you just jumping in, I'm doing my double-sided tiles. I have been chitter-chattering away. Hey, Bill! Thank you very much. God, I haven't seen that Mus'e reference in a while. I gotta explain that. So, there was a string of videos where people would try and say Muse, and it would come out Mus'e. John from Dungeons and Glue Sticks, the biggest offender of that. So, for a period of time, people were jokingly calling me the crafting Mus'e. However, I don't have antlers. But boy, that quote from the Princess Diaries, "But you're cute, Mus'e. Make the boy mooses go, wah." And if you know what I'm talking about, you know that scene. I look like a moose, but a very cute moose. So yeah, that's what the whole moose thing is. In reference to. Alright, I have one more tile to go. And then I'll do my texturizing again. And then what I'm going to do to paint these guys up is a very simple combination of, and it is on Netflix. Yes. Yes, thank you, Vincent. That's what I was thinking of. The Last Kingdom. That's a good one to look at for references for your medieval stuff. What I do is the Mod Podge and acrylic paint mix, but I start this all off with burnt umber. Straight up burnt umber. Reason being, I don't want these tiles to be too dark because these are lighter tiles, and again, I'm not looking for a grayed out tile end result. So, for sure, it's not your classic black bombing. It is more the get an established base layer of color in, and I want to work with that dark brown. So really any dark brown would work, especially if it's a warm brown. And if you're not familiar with these terms, you have warm and cool tones, you have your neutral tones. Warm tone means it has undertones of oranges and yellows. Okay, those are considered the warm colors. Cool tones means it has undertones of blues and greens, that type of thing. So you do need to be careful with your color selection. In this case, burnt umber is a warm brown. Okay, this is considered a warm brown. You can see it has an orangey yellowish hue to it. Do I have an example of a cool brown by me? I do not. No, I don't. I don't have a cool brown by me. But you want to make sure it's a warm brown for this particular setup because the paint colors I'm using to get these color effects for this one and for this one. You can tell they're all warmer colors. Okay? So that's just a little color theory lesson. Quick. And then neutral means you're not really picking up either or, and that's going to work nicely with either or. So when you can find yourself a neutral gray, buy stock in that one. There's reason for that, Annalie. History very much shapes the architecture of builds and buildings. So certain areas have more of a military-like barricaded fortress look because, you know, they were constantly trying to defend their turf. Outlander is nice too. That is another good one. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to do... Oh, wait, no, I'm going to do my cracks in my tiles. Remember? We have lovely cracks in the tiles. Ooh, is this pen running out? She says with utter glee and excitement for reasons. And don't forget, if you're going to do this, make sure you have your cracks running from one side over to the other. Why, you might ask, for those who are not here for the first go-around?
Because that's how tile cracks.
And if for some reason... We are talking about fantasy worlds. If you have cracks that snap, that's okay. That's okay. You just, you know, adjust course for next time if you want to do it again. Don't get worked up if someone says you've done it wrong. Ah! You want to hit a nerve with me? Have someone tell you you've done your craft for a fantasy world wrong. I'm sorry, how? It is your world. It is your creation. So don't let the perfectionist streak of, well, you should have done it this way. No. That's a way someone could entertain, possibly doing. You did it the way you saw fit. It is your creation. If you are happy with how it looks on the table, guess what? You did it right.
That's my soapbox, everyone.
Yes, Mailman, that is exactly it. And do check that one out with The Last Kingdom. I think you'll be pleased for sure with that one. Oh, I'm glad someone remembered that name, because I'm like, I vaguely recall what it was. Where do I want to end it? I don't want to do tic-tac-toe here. Hold on.
Uh-oh, Ricky.
Here we go.
Ricky, well.
Ta-da! I'm going to leave it at that. So. And I'm only doing these cracks on the one side. And I'm only doing the furniture grooves on the other side, just to kind of give them some different effects. I didn't want them to look similar to each other completely. But you could if you wanted to. If you wanted to do the cracks on both sides, by all means, go for it. This is just my personal preference. I'm not going to go and do it to each side. And then, this is fun though. I do like putting in these little crack-a-lackin'. Do a little nip there, and a little nip up here. Okay, so everything is crack tile mode. I'm gonna put the texture in first and then do the grids, just because it kind of helps. Because sometimes I find if you do the texture, I did forget to mention that, if you do the texture before doing the grid lines sometimes, or after, sometimes the pushes back into itself. So I'm just gonna do that really quick. Get my textures going both sides, and then I'll map out the grids, and then I'll show you a quick painting. Hello, Dustins and Dragons! Yeah.
It should have gone just a little bit longer and possibly a little bit more narrow.
You will always get the unsolicited critiques. It's the nature of the game. There are some who are more kind and considerate about how they deliver it, and then there's some people who will just shoot from the hip and tell you this is what you should have done, and what you've done, meh. Tune them out, especially if you're just starting. That's my biggest bugaboo. When you are just starting out with terrain crafts, the learning curve is steep for some, but the more you do it, the easier it is to overcome that hump of learning how to do this all and get into it. So, don't let the naysayers dissuade you. And you can always come to Mama Muse and I will protect you. You think I kid? Alright, so that takes care of that side, and then again, marble tile, I'm not making it as deep. I do want to get some texture in here, but the big thing here is my sweep marks, because those are fun to do. See? Those grooves. Like something happened. Something got moved or pushed. Why not? I'm just going to do one on that one. But it is fun to do. You see that all come through. But what I'm going to wrap up with doing is, well, I did show you how to do the magnets before, and the reason why I did it on the already painted edges is so you could see it. If I tried to do it on this right now, it was getting very blurry in the test run when I was looking at how things were focusing. So what I'm going to do is I will add those in between scenes, so to speak. I'm going to get the magnets going on this guy, or I can even do it after. But I will be painting this up so you can see how this all looks. But yeah, this is just my assembly lining and chatting with you all. Yeah, you can do, I mean, really, it's however you want to set it up for your own personal tiles. But like I said before, you need to make sure you're working in 3-inch measurements for this because of the pattern. That's key right there. If you have that lost on you, that things can go pear-shaped quickly. So you can fiddle around with that and find what your sweet spot formula is for the 1 1/4 measurements. Def for sure. Ooh. Alright, so we have texture going on all these. Now I'm going to go in and do my grout. My lines. What's my line? Oh, I'm glad. That's excellent, Annalie. You know, yes, the joke is my channel is marked not safe for children under 13. And it really is. I mean, knives. Hello, people crafting with knives and hot glue. No, little ones should not have their hands on this stuff unless highly and carefully supervised. I will stress that. Until they are old enough to be trusted to use these tools on their own, no, this channel is not intended for little kids to sit and watch and do it. Nope, 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 nope. I am, however, a huge advocate of crafting with your children and playing with your children. Hello, Crafters Forge. Dungeon Matron, have you checked out? I want to say Amazon does have this, at least in the US. I am sure there is a price markup on it. Unless you make friends with someone who's in a different state and they ship it to you, and you're willing to have them break it down into smaller pieces for shipping. That might be another way to go about getting this foam. It does get limited in some areas, which is why I did discuss the foam core, but then making sure your base is solid, but also keeping in mind the magnet factor may not be able to come into play depending on what you're using. Okay? Well, there's your formula. So yeah, there is that very much to consider. But I definitely want to do another kids workshop next year at PAX. That was such a blast to do. And I did have kids in my workshops, but parents were with them. This one dad he brought in his kiddo he was like 10, and really we did have, 13 and up on the workshop things, but hey, sometimes it happens. But the second he saw the utility knife, he was like, yoink, and he took it, and then he was the one to make the cuts and then let his son do what I'm doing right now. So, there are ways to include your kids in safe means without running too much of a risk of one of them, dicing and slicing. Like when my kiddo comes home, I'd be like, all right, here, take these, take the pen. This is what I just did. Now you do it. And he would. He absolutely would jump in and help out with this part. Or what I can do is give them these tiles and tell them, okay, slap this base layer paint on them for me. And then we put them out to dry. And that's the other thing. When you go to put your base color on, definitely make sure these tiles dry before you go to paint. I omitted doing the Mod Podge for the demo, even though I stress make sure if you go to create these at home, you do with the Mod Podge, because it does extend drying time. And we only had an hour and a half to get 2 tiles painted up. So kind of needed to make sure all of that was good to go without people hyperventilating because they were trying to dry everything. But yes, I'm excited for next year already. It's how many days away? Less than 365. Huzzah! Ooh, that's my bad. I got a little overeager there and I hopped the track. There we go. All better. Oh my goodness. And then next week what I'll do is I will go into the color factors. So getting these painted up so you can see the different color combinations. And again, these are very much based off of older videos I had done, but they do get a good response. And I still get people sending me emails and commenting, asking questions, which is why I thought, you know what, it's worth bringing this back up and revived so that people can see and understand the why of it. Because you can put some really crazy colors underneath, and as long as your top layers of color are stone-like, you get a really cool end result. That's great, Crafter's Forge. I love that. Yeah, and that's just everything you're all mentioning. That is exactly what I'm talking about. You work with your children. You don't go, here's the knife, bye-bye, like like some may do. Yes, Annalie, that's a good point too. If you go to construction sites, this stuff, you can get it for free. Quite literally. Especially if you find like those, we call them McMansions in my area, where they're putting in new real estate and it's those same house, same house, same house, same house, same house type of setups. God, yeah, you can definitely get this foam. It'll be in random sizes and whatnot, but you know what your end size is supposed to be. You can still work with it. Waste not, want not. Or you can go to the hardware store and sometimes ask them, hey, do you have any of this particular foam that's been cracked or broken upon delivery? And sometimes they do, and sometimes you might get it for free. You might get it for a very deep discount. That's another thing to keep in mind when you go to get styrofoam, or not styrofoam, XPS foam. Wow! Would I recommend styrofoam for this? Nope. Not in this case. You can use styrofoam successfully with other stuff. I have. But I would not use it for these tiles at all. Because it's going to turn into a bugaboo trying to get those magnets attached. That particular type of styrofoam, it will melt easily, so on and so forth. I just don't feel like it's structurally as sound as this particular foam. So I will deter you. You could absolutely do that if you wanted to, Shannon. Why not? Leave this open area so you could put an accent in? Yeah. Very much so. However, I am not doing that just to make it easier for plotting out layouts and whatnot. But that would definitely be a fun little extra detail if you want to do that. Mm-hmm. We're getting there. I'm going to go over and do the grids. So I'm almost done with the diamond sides. And I do need to remember to order more of these magnets. Someone remind me. I always do that. Someone remind me later. Let's see here. Oh, that's right, Dungeon. Sometimes certain states have restrictions on what is used and how it is used. So that is definitely coming into play with California. Very funny, Viper. Let's see what else we got going. Well, I mean, a lot of us kids were raised with a more hands-off approach. However, we are not living in a hands-off society. And that is something to keep in mind. So I always will relay this information just to make sure people are safe. But I have families who do craft together and they will send me photos. And I love seeing everyone working together at the table. It's so sweet. It's so much fun to see in action. You will see with the grids, I actually will tend to go 2 deep as opposed to just 1. That's just my being able to do that easier. Oh, yeah. I forgot there's a whole spray option too. I have seen that spray foam used quite successfully by a couple people for like very mountain craggy type looks. That's been fun to see pan out. 1, 2. 1, 2. There we go. Plugging along. Boom. The grid is definitely faster. Let's see here. The granite counter installer seems to use it for making templates and throwaway doesn't. Oh, wow. Puddin', thanks for sharing that. I did not know that. Very, very cool. Here we go. Yeah, next week I'll definitely have holiday music playing. Just, you know, make it festive. I have the minis that I was working on for this past Wednesday. We'll get those guys finished up, and then we'll get the color on these tiles, and it'll be 2 projects done. I am going to take that week off for the holidays. You know, kids are off of school, want to do some fun things with them. Take advantage of that. What would you love to see me do? You mean you want a summoning circle with the Crafting Muse logo? Is that what you're saying? Dustins and Dragons. Oh yeah, those are very helpful. My mom used to be an interior decorator. They do sell gloves for beginner wood carvers. Yes, they do. But, you know, that's up to the parents. I just, for my sake on my channel, have to say, not intended for children under the age of 13. At all. Nope. Not without parental supervision and guidance. And here's to hoping. There's a whole thing that's been happening if you look up the COPPA. It's something that's kind of been rocking the boat for many, many YouTubers, which is why things have kind of had to shift a little bit with having the whole parental advisory, my saying out loud. How about a lighthouse? That's funny. I've taken birdhouse lighthouses and turned them into stone towers. But have I done a miniature lighthouse? No, I have not. That could be a fun thing, especially, we were talking before the stream started up, especially if I do this underwater terrain request. That could be fun. Get a lighthouse going and then jump into the underwater terrain. Because I have done some ship and beach-like terrain. It's on the channel. There's a playlist for it. But yeah, that could be a really cool... A new chainmail has now been discovered. Okay, so now we are all painted up. How many did I get out of this? I know it's an odd number. No, it's an even number. 6! Yay! 6! So what I'll do is I'm going to paint these up. I'll do 3 and 3. And I have my mix already pre-mixed. And I will do this. If I have... This is the Mod Podge you can get at Dollar Tree. It's just the smaller 2-ounce bottle. I will save my bottles until they're almost empty and use them for mixing together the paint and the Mod Podge. And it becomes a nice, healthy storage place for it, too. So you can go back and use it over and over and over again, which I love to do. But now I'm going to get into painting this. And I'm going to show you a particular set of brushes from Plaid because Plaid is awesome. This is my new favorite set for terrain painting. It's from Plaid. It's the Color by Me. I believe you can find this easily in Walmart or on their website, plaidonline.com. I love these brushes because of these chiseled tip bits. It makes it so much easier to get in and work with the details. So that is my recommendation for a paintbrush set. Also extremely reasonable. I don't need my ruler anymore. Let me put my ruler away. Did I put my knife away? I did. I put my knife away. Oh, I can put my ball of foil away too. I'm trying to get some more elbow room. I can put the pen away. All right, so here it is, just burnt umber. And it says gloss. It's my matte. The gloss was pretty much empty, so it's become a storage container. I really do try and shake these up very, very well. Yeah, that's how I got my color theory put in from like the age of 5. Hello, Richard. There we go. I'm just gonna put a nice puddle. This is the paint from the other day. And really, it's just a matter of going in. I'm using the great big old 3/4 of an inch is our theme today. So I'm just gonna go in. And you want a nice healthy coverage, especially on the sides that have the print work. Because that blue, you don't really want it showing through too much. Actually, you know, I thought that bottle looked a little runny. I wonder if this is the one we thinned out. I may have used the wrong. Let me grab some more. Hold on. There was a bottle of burnt umber. No, I don't want melted chocolate. I want burnt umber. Here we go. I'm going to start with a fresh small bottle. Thinned it out because it was starting to get a little dry. I think I might have used that. Whoopsie. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the burnt umber itself. Because this is slightly runny. There we go. Ta-da. Quick and easy fix. Just keep Robert William Dafoe away from it. Oh, dear God. Viper, you went there. And just quickly, manually mix that together. And then the important thing is you want to get this into the grooves as well. And I may just have to go back in with this darker blue and do another coat on that, which is okay. I'll set this guy aside. But right now what I'm looking to do is get this down into the grooves. Move the paint around. You don't want it puddling up on you. You don't want a puddle of mud. That's a band, not a technique. And then we'll just shift this over to the next one. Ah, the joys of crafting. Forgetting you were fiddling around with your paint bottle. Crafting materials. Oh, trust me. I have collected many interesting, unusual bits and pieces It did come in handy for a lot of the Zobek stuff. Because things you're like, what could this possibly be for? Why are birds shouting at me? I'm suddenly in the Margrave. But thank you. I mean, if you want to take pictures and share what you've got going, by all means. I basically what I'm saying is I have my own hoard. Yeah, you can use the plastic. That's all, folks. You can use that clear plastic for window panels. You can use it for invisible bases. I like to do that a lot. I'm not going to worry about doing the sides yet until I flip over to the other side. So right now I'm just getting this painted up. See, it makes a big difference when you don't have that blue fighting you. And that's the kind of coverage you want for this. And again, make sure you're getting into those groove marks. Don't let the paint collect up into puddles if you can help that. But do get it deep down into those recesses. And make sure you're not using the bottle of paint where you add a little extra water. Yeah, I like doing the plastic for invisible bases so that pieces look like they're floating on top of the terrain itself. Especially if you want to do it with larger minis too, you can do that. And you can also use it for framework. Like someone was talking about making tents. You can use those plastic bits for the framework of the tents if you wanted to. Sometimes that stuff acts as great shrinky dinks. If you want that. Oh, keep it in the frame. Keep it in the frame, V. But yeah, my plan is I'm going to get this all painted up, let these sides dry, then flip them over, and I'll paint the top of the other side and the sides. And I'll get my magnets put in. And then after I'm done painting, I'm going to do my sides one more time, but just with straight up burr number. Is the plan. Glowing magical pots. Mrs. Potts. I don't know why my brain just went to Mrs. Potts, but hey, it's a party. But yeah, I really do like these brushes. They just really, it's a nice coverage right off the bat. Super easy to clean. That's another thing with terrain brushes. Drives me nuts when you use a brush, and boy howdy, some of them just will not let go of the paint. It's like, no wonder why I was dipping my brush so much. But these are good. These are what Plaid sent along for use in the workshop. They were quite helpful in providing some of the paints and paint brushes as supplies for my workshops with PAX. $15 got you 100 pieces. Oh, cool. That's very cool, Richard. Oh, there you go. Yep, glowing things. That's definitely a good idea. That's just it. If you fiddle around with things, you suddenly get these ideas like, oh, I could do that. And ta-da! Now, I will be calling this for those of you joining us, I started an hour early because my kiddos have a half day today. I don't know why. The school just gave us a half day a week before vacation. I don't know why. So I wanted to be sure I had the stream wrapping up before they get home. All right, Mac Attack, thank you for joining us. It was very good to see you. And see you next week, because I will be doing the Wednesday lunch break, and then I'll be doing the Friday feature terrain again. Because it's my thing. It's what I do. All right, so that's 1 and 2. All right, so these are all painted up. Let me see if I can go back to... plastic whites out on cuts with most scissors. Oh, you can do, gosh, I have how to make a gelatinous cube in an ice prison using exactly that stuff. When you have a repertoire you forget about. If you want to check that out, Dungeon Matron. It's actually a fun way to make a gelatinous cube. I liked it a lot. You just need a hot glue gun and away you go. Yeah, this definitely needed a second layer. So if you get this from Lowe's and you have that lovely blue, those sections will absolutely need another round. See? Much better. But the others just needed one. And these are still going to need to dry. All right, so that pretty much, I think, is going to be my stopping point for today, because I can't paint the other side while these sides are still drying. Just not a good idea. Let me quickly put them over by my dry area. And what is my dry area? It is basically our space heater going so that the basement stays warm, but it also assists in the dry time of my projects. All right, get those going. All right, so let's sum up what we did today. Today I showed you the 2 different style tiles that I did at PAX Unplugged, which is the diamond pattern with the red and gold colors going on, and then the rainbow sandstone, which both of these are techniques on my channel already in videos, but now I'm applying them to dungeon tiles. So these are the color combinations we're going to be doing so that it becomes a double-sided, I mean, obviously not like this, but it'll become a system where you have this on one side and this on the other, and they're also magnetized, okay? So using the neodymium magnets, link is in the description below, as well as wire brad nails, you then have the ability to attach, obviously that's not the right one, but you have the ability to attach these together without creating too strong of a magnetic field. It's also more budget friendly because you're not going through as many magnets as before, and you don't have to worry about your polar factors. You won't be repelling a nail from a magnet, let's put it that way. If you do decide to magnetize these, make sure you bring your magnets with you before you buy your nails, because some of the nails are not as magnetic as the others, depending on the brand, depending on the supply that your hardware store will have. So keep that in mind, and you're always going to set these up so that when you go to insert your magnets, you have upper left-hand magnet, upper right-hand wire brads, finishing nails, that type of thing. Spaced in 3/4 of an inch from side of corner to the inside. That gets it so you have this nice, reliable setup. These are 5 millimeter rounds. Gives you enough leeway so that they can meet up nicely. Okay, so there's that, and then we have the different grid systems where it's diagonal, and then you have your inch and a half marked in type of thing going around, and then just your classic, well, I have to do these guys, and you have your classic grid tile on the other side. All right, and that's just inch, go around, ta-da. So next week we will get to the painting part. This will all get done next week, and you get to see how it looks pulled together. It's going to involve sponging techniques as well as some dry brushing techniques. Neither of these have been washed. Again, because of how this painting technique works and the fact it's not a very thick layer of paint, and that I use that brown burnt umber underneath, I felt no need to go through and put a wash in. It actually shows itself off quite well without adding additional layers. So I think that's it for this week. I think that's all. If you want to, join me Sunday over on the Cobalt Press Twitch channel. I am doing the last episode of Season 1, The Last Heir, Tales of the Old Margrave inspired thematic campaign that I run with my wonderfully awesome players. We'd love to see you in the chat. I'm very curious to see how they're going to handle this. They could either turn it into a cliffy or they could turn it into an epic battle. I am very curious to see where they go with this one. And then we'll pick back up with The Last Heir in the new year. So we have one more week of my doing live streams, craft streams next week. So I'll see you next Wednesday for the minis. I'll see you next Friday for this loveliness. And then I'm going to take off a week and have some downtime, because that's kind of been a while for me. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for spending your day with me. I always love our time together in the chats. And I will see you on the flip side. I'm very active over on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can check things out on my website, thecraftingmuse.com. Various options to show you support for what I do, whether it's Ko-Fi, whether it's a PayPal direct patron option, which I now have on the donate option on the page of every single page on my website. And yeah, that's it. I think we're good. Take care. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I'll see you later on. Bye.